Here we are, AP Biology, Chapter 27. We're looking at the reproductive system. This is video 2. Previously, we talked about what is the reproductive system for. Reproduction, which it can be sexual or asexual reproduction. This video, we're mainly going to focus on the reproductive structures in mammals. So, when we talk about human reproduction, especially with males and females, we need to understand the anatomy of our reproductive system. So whether you're male or female, you're going to have gonads, and gonads are simply the set of the location where gametes are produced, whether those gametes are eggs or sperm. Now, we also need to have ducts, and ducts are simply the kind of delivery mechanism to getting the gonads to the area that they're needed during copulation, and copulation is sex. Now, when we look at a female's gonads or reproductive structures, what we're mainly focused on is the ovaries. The ovaries themselves contain structures that are called follicles. What follicles do is they nurture an egg. So an egg will is immature, a juvenile form inside of the ovary. And then the follicles will nurture that egg by producing kind of sex hormones and using hormones. That egg, once it's developed, will travel through the duct, which is the oviduct, and be transported to the location that it's needed for reproduction, which in the female case, it's to the uterus, because that's where the sperm will be able to eventually reach and it will become implanted so the embryo can develop. The oviduct is the transportation part of that gonad structure. So oviducts are what carry the eggs to the uterus where they can be used for implantation. It's actually in the oviduct that the egg will develop. The uterus is the structure in which an embryo will develop. It's where the baby is carried. It's sometimes called the womb. The uterus is actually connected to the outside environment through the vagina. Now, the vagina is where sex is occurring, where the penis will then have sperm released, and it can travel through the uterus up into the oviduct where fertilization will occur. There are other structures that are really important for the reproductive system, and these are all parts of the vagina. So the labia, the clitoris, the Bartholin's glands, which happens to be important for secretions, and then of course the cervix, which is kind of the area that is between the uterus and the vagina itself. Now, that is for a female gonads or reproductive system. We're going to focus on the male reproductive system or male gonads, and this is ultimately the testes. Now, what the job of the testes is to do is to produce sperm, because sperm is how we have the male genetic material. So if we look at it, there are lots of different glands or endocrine glands that contribute to the overall productivity of sperm. And so what's happening is that we actually not only have to produce sperm in the male gonads, but you have to produce semen. And what semen is going to do is it's going to nourish and protect the sperm so that they're able to travel and do their job, which is fertilizing an egg. During ejaculation, what happens is that the sperm and the semen kind of meet together, and they come out through the penis through an opening, and what happens is that it then hopefully travels through the vagina, up through the cervix, through the uterus, where it will then find an egg waiting in the oviduct. That's the end of our second video on male and female anatomy.